and welcome to the big Kahuna weekend, Super Bowl weekend. Super Bowl's in 2 days on Sunday with between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to jump right into things. Kansas City Chiefs are 2-point underdogs currently, according to DraftKings. You can get them anywhere between 2 to 2.5. Surprising line, surprising number. We're going to get into those betting talks on the back half of this video. Front half, we're going to talk some of the injury news, who's come off of the IR for the Chiefs, who may be able to play, and we'll talk. I'll give you my official predictions, official scores, and then, like I said, on the back end, we will talk some betting and some of the quirkier bets you can do if you really feel like it. All odds are provided by DraftKings Sports. We're not affiliated. Maybe one day we will be, but that's just my preferred betting. Lines may vary based on your preferred app. So, let's get into things right now. Kansas City Chiefs, Jerick McKinnon, he's a running back, been on IR. They took him off of IR last week. He's been limited in practice. He is officially listed as questionable for the game. This is the X factor of the game for me, as far as if he plays, how things could go. It's been a while, so people kind of forgot about him. He is a very dangerous pass catcher. As far as his job is really was the third down back to catch wheel routes out of the back, help. He played a major part, in my opinion, in the passing game, and I feel like they did struggle for a while without him back there, especially trying to have Clyde Edwards-Helaire fill that role. McKinnon's also a very intelligent, savvy veteran player too. He knows when to get down, when not to, is evident in last year's Super Bowl. So if he plays, I would look for him to have at least one, maybe two, like big impact plays. They won't probably need him for much, but maybe one extra safety valve that Mahomes really trusts. Because that's the thing. He's been with McKinnon for a while. They've got to trust. They've got a little bit of a connection. That's why they've kept him around. If he doesn't play, though, I do think that kind of skews, obviously, towards San Francisco's favor for that. But I know a lot of people haven't really been talking about the McKinnon factor. For me, that's a really big deal. If he can suit up on the field and actually play, I think that's a huge advantage towards Kansas City. Somebody else, I believe it was Charles Omenihu who tore his ACL in the Baltimore game. Obviously, he has officially been put on IR, that some of you may already know. Putting him on IR left a slot open. The Chiefs have activated Sky Moore off of IR and will play and will be suiting up for the Super Bowl. I do not expect him to have a real difference unless maybe they put him back there as a punt returner, but I doubt it. Moore was not lighting anything up, kind of bordering on potentially a bust from last year. Didn't really take a leap forward this year, almost either staying the same or kind of regressing in some spots. But I don't see that. And Kadarius Toney's been making a fool of himself. If he does, in fact, play, I would expect to have him be in a very limited role. Maybe just some kind of jet sweep motions and maybe some decoys and not much else. And probably expect him to be cut at the end of the year. Definitely starting to become more of a headache than he's worth. As we go to the San Francisco side of things, nothing really of note for them injury-wise. There's been some reports coming out of the Niners camp about complaints about the field. Apologies. The Niners camp complaining about the field they're having to play on. Practice-wise, I should say, they're at the UNLV, University of Las Vegas field, whereas the Chiefs are practicing in Allegiant Stadium because the Chiefs are considered the home team. So they get to play in the NFL stadium. That's how the league has been doing it. Last year, the Chiefs had to practice on the college field, while the Philadelphia Eagles got the NFL field for their practice facility. Nothing new. Kind of odd that the 49ers are complaining. They're saying something about the grass, and it's not up to par, even though the league signed off on it. and there are a lot of processes. I really do doubt that the league would have signed off if it was subpar. The league's got enough money; they would have figured something out. I think it's just a lot of noise coming out of the 49ers. And I'm not going to make this a whole negative video about the 49ers, but a lot of negatives, though, I feel like are coming out. They're complaining about the practice field, which to me I do think is kind of a moot point. You've made it this far. I know you got to stay warm, but the practice field conditions to me, I feel like is being overblown, and I think I just don't get why it's kind of coming out of the players' mouths. And then a report came out that the fire alarm went off in the 49ers hotel, and there's some that are saying it's a chief or something related to the Chiefs or something like that. It's kind of an odd report that it went off at like 6:03 in the morning, which is another weird thing, and that the 49ers are trying to skew that towards the Chiefs. If nothing else, more than likely is added motivation to them to try to light a bigger fire for Sunday. But I mean, I believe in one report, Nick Bosa, his alarm was set to go off at 6:10 in the morning anyway. So that's also just a lot of weird circumstances kind of surrounding some of the 49ers things. Hopefully, if they lose, I'll get to my predictions later. If they lose, they don't try to hold up some of those things as crutch. I feel like that'd be kind of low on the totem pole, especially because it's really just bizarre. I don't recall, and I've been watching football for a while now, these kind of stories coming out around Super Bowl time. Normally, it's kind of the media, everybody's talking, everybody's trying to keep things kind of hush, but I just wanted to kind of note those couple of news stories coming out the past couple of days about the field, and then here recently today about the alarm going off in the 49ers hotel. As far as 49ers offense and defense is concerned, no major injuries that I have really seen that hasn't already been known about. Nobody popped up last minute. I believe when the 49ers offense matching up against that Chiefs defense, everybody's been hammering it all week, saying it's going to be a Christian McCaffrey kind of a game. I think, and this is going to tie into one of the betting picks, I think the matchup is Chris Jones on the inside and Nick Bolton on the linebacker, kind of keeping everything in front of him because the Niners like to throw all those screens. I'm going to say this right now. I would not be surprised if in the first play or two they play action into a screen, and not saying they will get it, but I could very well see one of the Chiefs defenders reading a screen and trying to jump it for the pick six early in the game. Kind of mess with the head a little bit because the Niners really like the screen game, especially as an extension of the run, it feels like. And when I look at everything across the board when it comes to the 49ers offense, I think that offense does not match up well with what the Chiefs do well. Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, and McCaffrey out of the backfield as receivers. I think it's going to be extremely difficult to pass the football on the Chiefs' defense, as it has been all year. And with the two corners, Snead and McDuffie, being able to help take out the wide receivers as they have done the past, really the entire season, I think it will lean more heavily on Christian McCaffrey to try to bust this game open and try to make up for the flaws that the passing game might show. And I say that to also say this. Currently, the Niners have trailed in both of their playoff games. I know it happened to the Chiefs the first time they went to the Super Bowl. They also kind of had a similar thing of they kept falling behind but coming back. But I feel like the difference right here is the defenses that were being played against. The Lions do not have a good defense. The Packers had their moments, but overall they were not a good defense on the year. If Purdy comes out slow and Shanahan and that whole offense really comes out flat in the first half like they have the past two games, I do think it could get out of reach pretty quick, especially if the Chiefs can commit to Isaiah Pacheco early and get him going and get up about a score or two, maybe a 10 or even a 17-point lead. I think that could be absolutely massive, and I can absolutely see that just based on how San Francisco, sometimes you look at the X's and O's and the Jims and the Joes, but you got to look at the pattern they've been having, and they have really struggled against the elite defenses, which, obviously the defenses wouldn't be elite if they didn't make people struggle. But um, really, when I look at this and how the 49ers can potentially overcome this, is they are battle tested. I will give them that. They are battle tested. They know they can come back. So even if they do fall down early, which in my opinion, if they do, it's going to be extremely difficult. They're not going to waver because they've been there against Detroit. They've been there against Green Bay. So they know they can come back. It's not going to be a shell shock that they're down. They may even, in the back of their minds, expect it a little bit. But as far as like I'm saying, the 49ers, and I'm gonna go ahead and shift to the official pick. I'm taking the Chiefs. That was probably obvious, probably by the tone of this conversation. I'm gonna take the Chiefs over the 49ers 28-20. I'm gonna take them to win by 8 points, 28-20. I really don't think the Niners will be able to, in totality, play the complementary football needed to beat the Chiefs. And unless Vegas might just know something that the rest of us don't, I just don't see how the Chiefs are underdogs for this. They've played better quarterbacks, they've played better teams in the playoff stretch, and they've got a better quarterback to boot. And when I try to go through and think about the reasoning for that, when I was thinking about it, I started to break things down position by position. And when I come up with it, all of the key elements favors the Chiefs. So when we break it down, obviously quarterback, coaching staff in totality, and kicker. To me, those are in a Super Bowl, the three big things. The offensive line, I would put at 4. The offensive line, it gets a little bit tricky with the Chiefs having a backup playing at guard, whereas on the 49ers side, the interior's been weak with Trent Williams really kind of being the only thing that's pulling that O-line up out from being really a subpar line. But, like I said, breaking it down, they're at least going to get 3 points anytime they get to about the 30-yard line. Butker is a great kicker. The 49ers, their kicker had some trouble. I know they probably have the utmost faith in him in big moments. I would say you almost have to, especially in a Super Bowl like this. But I have to give the kicker edge to Kansas City. Obviously, coach and quarterback edge. Offensive line, I'm probably going to give that as a wash. I know the Chiefs' offensive line has been statistically better, but with the Niners having Trent Williams on that left side, they can kind of maneuver and kind of skew, at least for one game. If this was like baseball, a best of 7, I'd give the Chiefs a more definitive edge. But in a one-time deal, I think the Niners will be able to have that offensive line work good enough against the Chiefs if needed. Then I want to go kind of look at it running back. I'm going to give that to the Niners, obviously. They have the best running back in football, Christian McCaffrey. Wide receivers, Niners. Tight end, Chiefs. And the tight end they have is one of the greatest of all time. He's currently, in my opinion, the greatest of his era, which is really the pass-catching tight end era that we've kind of morphed into right now. When I look at defense, corner, I give to the Chiefs. Linebacker, I give to the Niners. Front, the defensive front, the big boys in the trenches, I got to give that to the Chiefs with Jones and Karlaftis. Chase Young has really been kind of a flop since trading for him. Bosa's really the only highlight. The defensive line, the Niners have the names, but I feel like the Chiefs, where they lack the mainstream names, they have more quality and the quantity, kind of, than the Niners. Like, they have a Nick Bosa, but then also Chase Young. You know, when you kind of break it down. Punter, I'm going to give it a wash. Townsend is a good punter, but I think he had a few struggles in Baltimore. Hopefully that's been cleaned up for the Chiefs' sake. But like I said, I've picked the Chiefs, and I've kind of given you my reasons. It's a hard sell for me to back the Niners. It's one of those things everybody agrees and kind of makes you want to stop, but I can't talk myself into having really any other final decision other than the Chiefs beating the Niners. So like I said, that's going to be the official pick. The Chiefs over the Niners, 28-20. So, like I said, I've given you the reasons for all that. That's the official pick. And that's going to wrap up kind of the preview talk. And now I'm going to shift into the betting talk a little bit. Like I said at the beginning of the video, all odds are provided by DraftKings. I'm going to pull up the live odds right now. If the device cooperates. This is live, folks. Gotta love it when it's live and they don't cooperate. But I'm going to go back up here. And like I said, the Chiefs are 2-point underdogs. Obviously, you can take that. You can also do some alternate spreads. I obviously have predicted them to win by 8. I would not bet an 8. That's just kind of me giving a generalized score. You can do alternate spreads and tease them all the way up to 4.5, 5. I would take up to the Chiefs favored covering by about 5. That would net you some decent money, which I'll try and see if I can get this to pull up. If not, we'll go back to what we were doing. Go right here. Yeah. So yeah, Chiefs plus 5, $50 will win you about $73. That alternate spread, you can obviously, play with that as much as you would like, kind of see where things would go. But as far as some of the actual bets we're going to be looking at, we're going to look at Super Bowl MVP bets. And I'm going to give you some ones for those that I personally believe might hit, and I'll put some money on it. So obviously the two quarterbacks are going to come 1 and 2. McCaffrey, I'm going to give you 2 for the Chiefs, 2 for the Niners. So keep up with me here. So for the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey at plus 450. That's kind of an obvious one. $50 wins you $275. But where I think the Niners, you have great value. You're going to see a trend on both sides. Nick Bosa, $50 wins you $3,800. Because in my opinion, the way the Niners win is either running the ball right down the throat, or Nick Bosa just abuses the backup guard, and is able to just wreck shop, almost in a Von Miller case. On the Chiefs side, however, I would take Isaiah Pacheco plus 2,500. $50 wins you 1,300. Kind of that same concept. I think Pacheco, if he gets going early, he could have a big day of 120 plus rushing yards against the 49ers. And also, Chris Jones at plus 10,000. $50 wins you $5,050. Once again, a Von Miller type of game. The interior of the 49ers offensive line is where they're weakest. So Chris Jones just lining up over the middle with Karlaftis, maybe being able to flank and kind of help him out. I think they could be crashing the middle of that game, and Jones could just take over and wreck the shop. I would like to point this out. I was doing my kind of gambling research, kind of looking at some other things. And DraftKings actually has, let me scroll over here, we'll have to get there first. Basically, you can bet, I just seen it, novelty props. It's under novelty props. I wanted to get the name right. Sorry about that. Under novelty props for DraftKings, you can bet, obviously, the coin toss, heads or tails, and stuff like that. You can, and I'm not kidding, bet the color of the first Gatorade poured on the winning coach. And your options are purple at plus 250, red at plus 275, yellow/green at 300 plus 300, orange plus 300, blue plus 350, and clear plus 1,000. And then you could opt for a no Gatorade bath at plus 1,600. I say go with orange. I'm not going to bet it, but if you really just feel like putting a few dollars on a quirky little bet, go orange on the Gatorade. See what happens. But, like I was saying, we're going to go back to some of the actual stuff. As I pull back this other little bit up here. Sorry, the app is having a little bit of trouble. I try to do these live. That way I'm betting these live, looking at everything live, and I'm giving you accurate information. So that's what, eventually we may change this in the future, but I enjoy doing this live so you can kind of get my full reaction look, and I can give you accurate details. But I would stick with those bets that I've given you. Where was it? There we go. On the receiving props part of this, something I would find interesting. Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 5.5 yards receiving, $50, almost doubles your money. I think that's a good little bet. What was it? Yeah, over 5.5 receiving. I can see him catching a little screen pass. It's a little double your money bet. I would kind of sprinkle some of these in here. Pacheco at 17.5. I'm actually going to see if they will let you parlay these, and if so, I might have a little parlay for us. I know I like doing parlays. He can't. My bad. He can't parlay those. That stinks. But yeah, Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 5.5 receiving yards. I would take that bet. Some little bets here and there. So that will do it for this. If the Chiefs win on Sunday, I'm going to try and apply for a press pass, and we may have a special live presentation Wednesday at the parade. So stay tuned, and I'm going to ask everybody to please like, comment, share, subscribe. Click the bell to enable notifications so you know when we go live, you'll know when we upload. And here very soon, I know we've been talking about it, we will have the Spotify going. We should have that up and going by next week for the Super Bowl recap and kind of going into the off season. So you'll be able to find us on Spotify here very shortly, within the coming weeks. But on this Super Bowl Eve, we're going to see where I'm right and where I'm wrong. And until then, I'll see you guys next time. Be safe out there, and let's just see